Well, all my bags are packed. I'm ready to go. Leaving from the Dome Thong Hotel here in Tak City and heading the short distance of about 71 kilometers to the historical town of Sukhothai, where I have a wonderful hotel waiting for me, the Orchid Hibiscus Guest House, thanks to a Mystery Benefactor. I think I'll be staying there for 4 nights. That ought to be pretty amazing. 4 nights and at least 3 days to explore Sukhothai. I had a choice. I have a route planned that could take me through the countryside to the north, down all these small roads. But at the last minute, I decided to take the main highway, Highway 12, that goes directly from here to Sukhothai. I don't know anything about Highway 12 beyond this point. I've never ridden down it. So I figure I might as well try it out at least once. There might be some interesting things to see along Highway 12. And after my small adventures of yesterday and not sleeping terribly well last night, I don't find myself jammed with energy today. So I'm making a fairly easy day of it in terms of traveling, going to Sukhothai. In fact, it's 10:30 in the morning and I'm not even on the road yet. So it'll be 2 or 3 hours between now and when I get to Sukhothai. So yeah, let's get on the scooter and get out of Tak City. In most cities in Thailand, it seems like as soon as you start on your journey, the very first thing you always need to do is a U-turn. The road never goes in the direction you want it to go in. So you got to hit the road. First thing you do is look for a U-turn to head in the other direction. And here's my U-turn. Highway 12 to Sukhothai. Got to turn somewhere up here. I've never gone anywhere in this direction before, so this is all brand new to me. Look at that green turn arrow. Nothing could be easier. Well, we have jumped ahead in space and time once again, and we're just a few kilometers outside of the Sukhothai Historical Park, and there's a monument here to the first king of Sukhothai, essentially the founder of the Sukhothai kingdom, and from that point of view you could think of him as the founder of modern-day Thailand. Si Intradit, I think his name was. Way back when, going back many, many years, Sukhothai was part of the Khmer Empire. The Khmer Empire based in the region that is now modern-day Cambodia. And Intradit was part of the Thai people. And he organized a rebellion against the Khmer Empire and declared Sukhothai independent. And there he is up there. I just rode along Highway 12 to get here. No small adventures to report. It's basically a wide, smooth highway the whole way. A few coffee shops here and there I could have stopped at, but I had coffee with breakfast. No need to stop anywhere. So I just kept riding until I got here. Yeah, it's really interesting that I think my brain has a hard time visualizing things. So it takes me a long time to really know what a place is like. So I've been doing a lot of reading about the Sukhothai Historical Park, but I couldn't tell you exactly what the place looks like. For example, this road that I'm on, I mean, this is Highway 12 behind me, but there's an offshoot. Well, actually, no, that isn't Highway 12. It turns into something else. Highway 12 turns and then goes down this direction into it. The highway cuts right through the middle of the historical park. So again, I'm thinking, well, how's that possible? Because you have to buy a ticket to go into the historical park, and yet a highway goes through it. There's streets all through it. People live, houses all through the park. So there must be a specific section that is walled off where you have to buy a ticket. But I can't quite figure out where's the walled off section. And so where exactly are the boundaries of the historical park? I guess I won't be able to figure out any of that until I physically get there. And then I see it for myself. And then it's like, oh, okay, that's how it works. That's how it was for me when I went to Gampang Phet, because the historical park there was pretty complicated in the end for me to figure out. And it's like, when I got there, it's like, oh, okay, there's 2 sections, there's this section and that section, but this is here and that's there, and exactly how it all works. It took me a long time to figure it out. And I think Sukhothai is going to be the same. So, here we are. So far as information in English goes, all you've got is me. That's it, and my poor brain, because there's nothing here. Got a small kind of a pedestal here with some sword scabbards, which I imagine people have donated. Some weaponry in his honor. Some elephants with tributes of garlands. And then King Si Intradit himself up there. Yeah, as far as I know, he's a pretty important king, because as I said, he was the founder of Sukhothai. He founded the kingdom itself by rebelling against the Khmer Empire, who were ruling this area at the time. And I believe all through Sukhothai Historical Park there are still ruins, temples and buildings that were built by the Khmers. So I can go see those as well. And the history, from what I've read, is actually kind of limited in terms of what people absolutely know for sure, because there's not a great deal of a written record covering this historical period. They've had to piece it together from clues that they pick up here and there. But as far as I know a little bit about the story, he was the founder and the first king, and they're not entirely sure how he died. In fact, there's a bunch of different stories about how he died. And I believe his first son died young, but his second son became the second king. I think his name was Miang, something like that, Muang. And when he died, his third son became king, and that was the famous and well-known Ram Kamhang. Yeah, Ram Kamhang. And he's a very well-known king. I think he was one of the first, maybe the first, to get the title the Great. In Thai, Maharat means the Great. And he was known as Ram Kamhang Maharat, Ram Kamhang the Great. And among his achievements, he's credited with creating the Thai script, so the writing system used in Thailand today. So this king's third son eventually became king, and he invented the Thai script that they use today. And I'm sure I'll see a replica of it here in the museum, but there's a very famous stele, which was discovered by King Mongkut in fact. King Mongkut being the father of King Rama V that I talked about in a previous video. But this stela was discovered by King Mongkut here in Sukhothai, and it was covered on 4 sides with writing. And it was essentially, like, one side of the stele was the life story of King Ram Kamhang, and then another side was sort of a description of the Sukhothai kingdom, its extent and its features, and a lot of good things about it. So this stele is is the earliest evidence of writing in Thailand, I believe, and it gives the history of the Sukhothai kingdom and the reign of King Ram Kamhang. And yeah, it's a fascinating thing to think about, because that script is different from the script they have today. So a lot of scholars and a lot of academics had to go to work translating it and figuring out exactly what it says. And a lot of the history, a lot of the facts that are known about the kingdom of Sukhothai come from that one stele and that one piece of ancient writing that they found. Yeah, and it all kind of starts with this guy up here. Well, I'm going to head into the town of, well, actually this is something else I learned. I didn't know this for a long time. People kept talking about Sukhothai, says, oh, you're so close to Sukhothai, you should go to Sukhothai. What I didn't know was that the town of Sukhothai is different from the historical park, because at some point in history, I think in the late 1700s, I believe, the king, who at that time, the kingdom was based more in the Bangkok area, and that king decided to move Sukhothai. So the city itself was moved from here to the new site. And the new site is where the modern city of Sukhothai is located, and the historical park is where the old city of Sukhothai was located. I didn't even know that for the longest time. But there's the Sukhothai Historical Park, where I'm going, and then there is the city of Sukhothai, which is, I don't know, 15, 20 kilometers away. It's completely separate from the historical park of Sukhothai. So yeah, I didn't even know that. So I have entered the old city of Sukhothai. It's been a nice ride to get in here, with the road nicely covered in trees. And right here is the moat around one of the famous temples. I'm not that familiar with all the sites here yet, but I think this is called Wat Sa Si. Wat Sa Si. But I really love moats. I don't know why. I just like the idea of moats going around palaces and around temples. But that very much looks like a part of the historical park. Certainly part of the old city. So, from this point, I guess I will slowly be getting my bearings. And this is interesting. You can see on the left here, there's rolls and rolls of a razor wire. I don't know why there's razor wire. Exactly. Oh. There's a grassy park here and some ruins. And again, I haven't been to the museum yet, so I don't know anything yet. I have no idea what I'm looking at anywhere. Oh, there's a sign over there. So in fact, we can learn something about this site. Looks very much like, again, things that I saw at Angkor Wat in Cambodia. So I wonder if this is one of the sites that's connected with the original Khmer Empire. Let's go look at the sign and find out if I'm right about that. Ooh. Well, this is the Ta Pa Deng Shrine, adjacent to the Tra Kuan Reservoir and the northern city gate. This ancient monument was seen on a map in the reign of King Rama V of the Ratanakosin period and was known as Teparak Yai Shrine or Ta Pa Deng Shrine. This laterite shrine was built in the Khmer style on a base with lotus molding. So I did recognize the Khmer style. During the excavation of this shrine, fragments of god and goddess images adorned with beautiful ornaments were discovered. This ancient monument serves as evidence for the mixture of Khmer culture and Hinduism in this area around the late 12th century AD. Ah, okay. So it is an old ruin from the Khmer Empire. Yeah, there's another look at it over there. And I guess it used to be quite a bit taller. There is a reconstruction here, and you can see there used to be a much taller roof on there. Or they guess that's what it looked like originally. Huh, interesting. Okay. More razor wire for some reason. Can't imagine what that's for. It doesn't really surround the park. Just covers up this one side. Yeah, I don't even know how long a ticket is good for. If you buy a ticket for the historical park, does that mean it only lasts for one day? Or can you use it over a period of several days to go anywhere you like? I don't know what monuments require a ticket and what monuments don't. No idea. All this will become clear. This area on my right looks very much like the enclosed portion of the historical park. So I think to go in there, you definitely need a ticket. But obviously, I didn't need a ticket to go look at that ruin from the Khmer Empire. And this might actually be the entrance to the main part of the park. One thing I didn't realize about this park is that scooters are not allowed inside. So there are some of the larger ruins inside the historical park. In Gampang Phet, I was very pleased to find out that both in the inner district and the forest district, I was able to just ride my scooter around from temple to temple. And the distances were pretty great, so you almost needed to. But here, scooters are not allowed inside, and most people either walk. Hello. Either walk or rent a bicycle, I guess. So this is a ticketing area. They check your ticket on the way in. And I guess this is where you would, this is where you would buy your ticket, right over here. But not today. I want to go to the museum first. I'll go there either this afternoon or tomorrow, probably tomorrow. But I don't know whether the museum is inside the ticketed part of the park or outside. Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of Gampang Phet in that it's surprisingly landscaped. I mean, look at that. You know, with the moat, nice lawns, beautiful trees, nicely shaded. Looks like I've gotten distracted. Instead of going straight to the hotel, I'm just riding around the park a little bit, around the outer edges, again, just to sort of get my bearings. Just going around the outer edge. And there's a moat on my left, which seems to go around much more than just the inner park itself. As you can see, very beautiful here with all the trees, nicely shaded. And I can see the fence on my right that encloses the national park. Ah, okay. One of the gates. One of the gates. This is the Ore Gate. Ore Gate, or the Gate of Reed, is the western entrance of Sukhothai. The stone inscription number 1 of King Ram Kamhang the Great describes the conditions in the west of Sukhothai. There is a district of Aranyak in the west. Aranyak is forest. In the middle of Aranyak district, there is an impressive large viharn, I think that's an assembly hall, housing the standing Buddha image called Pra Atarat. And this is the outer city wall. Huh. Why is the moat on the inside of the wall? Interesting defensive practice when you think about it. There's some famous temples out there, I guess, some shrines. And here is the city wall, the Ore Gate in the city wall. Is there another moat on the outside, I wonder? Oh yeah, double moated. These guys were serious about their defenses. Look at that. It's a moat on this side, then the city wall. And I guess if the enemy forces get over the moat and the wall, the defenders can retreat behind the second moat and keep fighting. Right here, yeah, second moat. And the second moat is actually still in much better condition than the outer moat. Very, very cool. Just looking at this, the wall, the city wall at Gampang Pet was in much better condition. Again, what's fascinating to me, I mean, really is fascinating, is the way the trees grow out of the wall, because when the wall was built, none of these trees would have been here. It just would have been a laterite brick wall. And now, if you look at this from the air, if you sent up a drone, all you would see is a square forest. Like there's an actual forest growing in a line along the top of the wall. That's very cool. So I guess laterite is very good for trees. They get a lot of nutrient sending their roots down into laterite. Yeah, look at the green fungus or not fungus, what do you call that? My brain is not working. It's a kind of plant that grows on top of the water like that. And it's brilliant green color. So, still trying to figure this out. I've linked back up with Highway 12 here. I didn't realize it when I came through the first time, but here's the city wall. Highway 12 cuts right through it. And you can barely even tell that it used to be a brick wall from the side here. It really looks just like dirt. It's been transformed into earth, or maybe there really wasn't that much brick at all. Maybe the wall itself was made largely out of mud. Just they piled up a bunch of dirt from the moat, and that's why there's so many trees growing out of it. Yeah, I don't see any brick there at all. So maybe they just put brick on top of a mound of dirt. But this is Highway 12 where I came in, and the wall around the historical park seems to be over there. on my right, but the outline of the historic district seems to go off in this direction. Like if we follow the moat and we follow the city walls, the square continues way over here. So technically this is still part of Old Sukhothai, but it's not part of the ticketed historical park. Okay, coming around the corner, heading down the other side of the square now. Huh. It's interesting that in all the reading I did, nobody mentioned that Old Sukhothai, as a fortified city, had two moats, one on the inside and one on the outside of the wall. I've certainly seen a lot of hotels. Past one there called the Moat View, and here's the Sukhothai Chalet. And on this side, I think we came to the main, what would have been the gate, I think. The gate would have been here. It says the city wall. Again, I was just curious to see. Yeah, definitely another moat on this side. Look at that. Now we are outside the city walls with defenders raining arrows and whatever else down on our heads. And there's the moat on the outside. Oh, yeah. This is exactly like the construction I saw at Gampang Phet, where this would be considered part of the city fortifications. This section here, a square part built out around the city with the moat going around this built out section. So this would have been another defensive position. And let's see what they have to say about this gate. This is the northern gate. Okay. San Luang Gate. The northern city gateway is called San Luang Gate. It was located in the halfway of the city wall. This was one of the most important gateways through which the Sukhothai people traveled in and out of the city. That makes sense. The attractive monuments outside the northern city wall are Wat Pra Pai Luang, Wat Si Chum, Tu Riang Kilns, Wat Om Rob, and Wat Sangkawat, etc. Okay, so this would have been the main entrance into the city. And that's why it has this large fortified area here. Look at that. I was not expecting that at all. This wide, flat road running quite a distance alongside the moat and the city wall. Huh. Look at that. Look at that city wall. Looks very much like a forest out of a Brothers Grimm fairy tale. I didn't plan on doing all this exploring, but I'm a bit early in terms of checking into the hotel, so I've got time. And just like in Gampang Phet, there are a number of accessible ruins outside the historical park itself. So this one, for example, is Wat Mei Chun. Next to the northern city gate to the east of Wat Phra Phai Luang along Muang Kao Nong Tat Chot Road. And northwest of the temple is an ancient well lined with slate. This temple has a sitting Buddha image which had already been renovated. So this is Wat Mei Chon. And just a short distance from that last temple is this beautiful spot. I'm not quite sure what this water reservoir is a part of. Oh, okay. All right, I just looked it up on Google Maps. It all makes sense now. This is a quite large moat around the Wat Phra Phai Luang, which is in the middle of the island off to the left there. And I wonder if it is part of the official historical park for which you need a ticket. Ooh. I'm guessing that it is, but I'm going to ride by the entrance over there and see. Oh, yeah, and it does appear to be part of the official park. You could buy tickets here if you wanted to as well. So, Wat Phra Phai Luang is located north of the Sukhothai ancient city wall. I was really curious about that when I saw it on Google Maps. Like, so why is it outside the city wall? But it has its own moat for protection, a very, very wide moat, 50 meters wide. They kind of buried the lead. The last paragraph, Wat Phra Phai Luang was the center of Mahayana Buddhism during the early Sukhothai period. It is also one of 3 monuments in Sukhothai ancient city with ancient Khmer-style architecture. The other 2 are Tapa Deng Shrine, we already saw that one, and Wat Si Sawai. It suggests that around the beginning of the early 13th century, the Sukhothai community shared culture with the ancient Khmer and is likely associated with the Lavo or Lopburi kingdom. So, yeah, this is one of the places where I guess your ticket gains you entrance. And since I still have time and I'm out on my scooter, I thought I'd go take a look at Wat Si Chum. There is a temple with an extremely large seated Buddha, and I think that's at Wat Si Chum. So, oh, okay. A fence. So a fence might mean it's part of the ticketed historical park, which would make sense if it's such a impressive site. Wat Si Chum, Sukhothai Historical Park. Ah, okay. So yeah, this is another place where you would need a ticket to get in. And then there's the temple up ahead. So once I get my ticket, I will drop by here one day. I'm feeling much more oriented now. I think I've got the basic structure of the city in my head. We're heading back inside through the northern gate. And the last place I want to fix in my brain is the location of the National Museum. And I think I should be passing the National Museum on my way to the hotel. So that works out. There are quite a few sets of ruins outside the main historical park. There's a whole bunch more on my left here, which I'll keep for another day. And I think that is the museum right over there on the right-hand side, the big white building. want to pull in there for a second. Okay, I found it. This is it here. This is the Ram Kam Phang National Museum. This is the entrance. So it is outside the historical park itself. So you would just come in here and buy a ticket to go inside. So that's good to know. Cool. So that museum is within easy walking distance of my hotel, I think, because I think it is just around the corner up here. Look at this street on my left. Lots of bright colors, little shops, coffee shops, little cafes, 7-Eleven, of course. Wow, I'll bet you this could be a very busy road back in pre-pandemic times during the tourist high season. Just has that look about it. There's a sign here for a whole bunch of hotels. I don't see the name of mine, but I think mine is down here among them. It's like a neighborhood of nothing but hotels. There it is, the Orchid Hibiscus. I call it the Rose Hibiscus, but this is the Orchid Hibiscus. Ah, looks like it has character. Very cool from just from the outside here. Yeah, it looks like an older hotel, which I kind of like, actually. And here I am at the, I'm terrible with names these days. What is wrong with my brain? The Orchid Hibiscus. No, I'm here at the Orchid Hibiscus Guest House. Maybe if I show the sign, it will get burned into my brain. And it's quite an extensive place. I didn't even realize it when I showed up, but this is a map of the grounds of the whole place. It's got a lot of different sections, a lot of buildings. So here's the entrance and the office where you check in right over there. And this is where they serve breakfast. And I guess one of their main selling points is right over here on my right. A functioning and an open swimming pool. Look at that. When was the last time I was anywhere near a swimming pool? I can't even tell you. Look at that. Yeah, and I guess there's shower rooms back there where you can rinse off after your swim. And if you feel like getting some sun, as if I don't get enough sun normally, I could lay out in the sun here. But yeah, I think I get enough sun in my normal day-to-day life, to be honest. But this is the front section, which I think has some of the older bungalows, and the advantage to them, of course, is you're around this nice garden area near the front, near breakfast, and near the gate, and near the swimming pool. So I was given a choice between two rooms. I could either stay in, I think it was room number 1, just right over here, or S5, which was in the back. And she said I could choose whichever one that I liked. And I asked her what she thought, what would be the best for me. And she seemed to be leaning towards S5, simply because the room is newer, I guess. And she kept saying it had something. I didn't quite understand what she meant. But when we got back to the room, I could see it had a fridge. And this room here does not have a fridge. Plus, this room was considerably older. You know, the furnishings were older and a smaller room. And the room in the back though not quite as atmospheric as this bungalow over here. It actually has it has a more spacious feeling. I'll take you to the back and show you what my new room looks like. All right, with backpack slung under my arm, let's head to the back. So this is the front area still. So I think some of them are larger, smaller, but the room she showed me was one right over there, one of that set over there on the far right. And the room I chose S5, is at the very, very back left corner. Swing the GoPro around and show you where I'm going. Yeah, they have a nice garden space back here. Some rooms up there, some rooms over here. Another garden area back there. Another seating area here. I definitely get the impression there are not very many guests. She asked me in particular what time I would like to have breakfast. They serve breakfast from 7 to 9, she said, but they have so few guests. It would help them out a lot if she had a set time for me, which I am more than happy to do. So I said I could have breakfast at 8 o'clock. And she seemed pretty content with that. And here's my room back here. So as you can see, it's got a more of a modern, newer, simpler look to it. You know, it doesn't really have that old bungalow feeling to it. But on the inside, it's much more pleasing to me. All right, let's head inside. Ooh. Double doors, opens up. And then there's a screen door. And the key powers on the lights. Let's get that closed to keep out the mosquitoes as much as possible. And here we are. Yeah, very nice. As I said, it's much roomier than the bungalow that she showed me. It's got a much more open, airy feeling. And it has this nice table with a refrigerator, which I really like. And a little table with a stool over here. That's me. Whew. And a wardrobe. And the bed with mosquito netting, which is nice. If there happen to be a lot of mozzies around, you can pull those down. Air conditioning, of course, and Wi-Fi. And the bathroom, didn't really take a close look at. Okay. Your basic bathroom with some soap and shampoo supplied, which is always nice. Hot water heater. And that's it. Let's turn on this air conditioner. Happy little beep. Love that. Okay, I'm going to bring in my backpack and I'm going to unpack. And I think that makes this the end of today's small adventures. Very quick and easy ride from Tak City to the Sukhothai Historical Park. And moving into my room. Hello.